Mayor Driscoll.
Thanks, Patrick. And thanks for the report, David. There's a lot of good stuff in there. In terms of the specific recommendations, can we recognise that in number 4, in terms of projects already in the pipeline, there's a number of things to do with the East Coast Main Line projects that are already in there that are quite critical. So we would very much like seeing those do. And I'll not enumerate the specific programmes. They're already well established in previous documents. And secondly, in terms of progressing at pace with need, can we please make sure that we always, at every juncture, mention the Leamside line, because that is critical, not just for us, but for rail across the north, because for us, predominantly north, south and east, west use the same piece of infrastructure, and we just simply can't get enough trains down there. In terms of the other points, the very good points, it's been mentioned a few times the Secretary of State met with us, myself and the other Northern mayors recently. Did get a letter back from him yesterday talking about his interest in pursuing the Rail Academy for the North, which is good. What was specifically and noticeably absent in his reply is a point that I directly raised with him, which is the point that you've raised there about the rebounding of patronage in the North. In Newcastle, we're back up to 95% of passenger numbers pre-COVID. If we didn't have rail chaos, it would be over 100% now. So why is it the case that the northern operators are being asked to absorb all the inflation costs, real terms cuts in their operating budgets, which is the foundation of the failure to reach a settlement in the industrial disputes? Simply, the TOCs, the train operating companies, don't have the money available because the government isn't allowing the money available on the basis, on the argument that it's only 75% increased, 75% of the patronage pre-COVID, which is not the case for us. I said, can you actually just not have this simplistic across-the-board approach? He's not addressed that point. Now, you know what? We can live in hope that we'll get a Christmas present where he'll write to us and he'll say, Jamie, totally agree, there's your money. However, I'm not going to wait for that. Can we include that in all correspondence, please? And when we're talking about the future of rail in the North, there won't be a future for rail in the North unless we get investment into this critical infrastructure. And in particular, for large parts of us, there isn't a viable alternative other than heavy rail. Keith's on the call. If we go between here and Carlisle, there is one route. And because of a single derailment, there is a bus replacement service that frequently doesn't turn up. And when it does, the buses are not wheelchair accessible. Surely that is a breach of legal regulations somewhere. So these are the sort of things that really need addressing. And that comes back to, again, some of the things that are about the quality of service, because everybody, including the Secretary of State, wants to see, or at least says he wants to see, a better rail system. And when the government are refusing to allow a settlement that doesn't involve the push towards driver-only operated trains, that's the problem. I certainly want guards on trains because I think they are essential for improving public confidence and increasing passenger numbers. For people, an increasingly aging population, it's important for accessibility. And in an era where we're trying to do what we can, I'm sure everybody on the call, to make women and girls in particular feel safer when they're travelling, when we have at least 60% of our stations are unstaffed, the idea that people are going to have confidence in late-night rail services when there's no guards on those trains, it just doesn't stack up. So if we could make those points as well, please, I would much appreciate it. Thank you.